I'm just going to wait for a second here until I see the notice that it's recording. But thank you for, there we go. Thank you for everyone that has joined us. I'm really excited for today. We will be talking today about Moxi, our listing and buyer and anything else presentation tool that we have here at Coldwell Banker. We will be starting with, as usual, a great tutorial with Shira Rabkin, our marketing specialist, and then we'll jump into an incredible panel that we have. We really lucked out this week. We are joined by some really awesome agents from around the metro, ranging from the West Metro to right here in the right in the cities in Edina. So we've got Steve Milkovich from Plymouth. We've got Drew Hueler from Wayzata, and Nancy Walker from Edina, and her operations manager, Kathrine Black. So we're just going to jump right in so that we have plenty of time for the panel at the end, and I will hand it over to Shira Rabkin for that.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to start by sharing my screen, and then also I'd love if you could give me confirmation you can see it, because I had a problem yesterday with one of my classes. So just if you guys could send me a quick message that or let me know that you're seeing it. Are we good?
We are good.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I am gonna start on Moxi today, and I want to give you a pretty quick tutorial, and we'll start with a seller presentation and creating a CMA. There are also buyer presentations available on Moxi, which talk about the buying process. You can create a CMA based off of a property that your buyer might be considering making an offer on as well. So there's a few different options, but today we'll delve into the CMA creation and the seller presentation and just how to do that. Of course, you can access Moxi via my CB desk. So that's how I got there. And when you first arrive, all of your presentations will show up here on the main screen. And if you've never created a presentation before or never tried using this tool, the first thing I'd suggest doing is going to the top right-hand corner and then clicking on My Account, and just making sure that you have a photo and some contact information associated with your account. So you can add your photo right here. You can click this little pen to edit some of your contact information, and that's just going to ensure that it shows up on the About page. There's an Agent About page that is featured in all of the presentations. So once you've got your profile all filled out, you'll be ready to go in creating your presentation. So I'm going to go back to Moxi here, and I'm going to click on the blue Create New button. So here are the presentation types. The buyer presentations feature, you have the choice of creating a CMA on a potential property, or you have the choice of doing a kind of buyer overview where you can talk about assessing their needs, or where you can talk about financing and the buying process. And we have some pre-written templates for you to use on that. The seller presentations are our most popular ones, and that's what I'm going to delve into more today, because we are going to create a CMA based off of a property, and then we're going to create a seller presentation off of that. There are also two new types of presentations, a buyer tour and a non-listing. So the non-listing ones are kind of like, you can create newsletters or marketing pieces. It may be like a single property kind of site. It's something you can just sort of build yourself. So I'm going to choose a seller presentation today, and then I'm going to click continue. So we'll have some options. First, there's my template. So these are any templates that you have already saved. And I'm going to show you how to save a template at the end of this demonstration today. And I think it's really great to just choose a template that we already are working with, and then save it, or get it in the order that you want, and then save it so that you don't have to recreate it again when you have another subject property. So then there's brokerage templates, and this is probably the first thing you're going to see when you arrive on this template section. We have
Shira,
several. Yes.
Shira, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Drew. You sent out another link via email for the reminder today. So we have a bunch of people over there not thinking that the call isn't going on. So you might want to notify them.
Oh, really? Okay. I think I just sent the same link that we've been sending. That's strange. Okay. Thanks for letting me know about that. Was this the email I sent this morning?
Yes, that's correct. The reminder email, that link took us to a different call.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you. I wonder if Joe, I think that was the same link that you sent out to the Stillwater office this morning. I just copied that one. I don't know if you could maybe figure out how to jump on the other call.
Yes, I will. I'll jump into that and send out the link to this this meeting right now.
Thank you so much. And I'll just continue with the demonstration.
Great.
Maybe.
I'll be right back. Thanks so much.
And remember, this is going to be recorded, so we can offer that recording to those who have missed the first bit of the class today. Okay. Oops, 1 minute. I'm going to go back to creating a seller presentation. And the brokerage templates, we have several different options to work with. The default seller template is only going to include CMA pages. If I click on pages, I can get an idea of which pages are included in this presentation. And so the default seller one is going to just have some graphs and charts, going to have a subject property, and then it's going to show some comparable properties and display some data about those, and then also include a pricing analysis. So if you want to just do a pretty concise CMA, this could be a great option for you. The next one is a global luxury presentation, and this one is designed for properties of 750,000 and above, and it has some information about our kind of standing in the global luxury market. And so if you're planning on doing a listing presentation for a luxury property, you might want to choose this template to go off of. And you can see that it does include a lot of pages. I always suggest just choosing a template to start from and then deleting pages as needed or reordering pages to your liking till you get it into an order that makes sense for you and the listing presentation that you want to deliver. The next option we have is a Minnesota pre-listing presentation. This one does not include CMA pages. It goes over selling process, finding buyers, just kind of getting started in getting your home ready to sell. And you can add CMA pages to this presentation if you would like, but it mostly just talks about the selling process. It'll talk about Real Vitalize and some numbers for, Coldwell Banker. And then we've got a Minnesota sellers presentation. This one is going to be our most comprehensive and large presentation. It will include information about staging, Real Vitalize, step-by-step, like a really immersive step-by-step of selling. So if you're interested in kind of sitting down for an hour or more with your seller, you could choose this template, but this is also a great template to go off of for a lot of pre-written content and deciding which things you want to include and which things you don't want to include. These are just like starting points for us. So that's the Minnesota listing presentation. And then we have our 12-minute listing presentations. These are my favorite because they are what allow us to communicate about listing concierge to potential sellers. So you can see we've got gold 12-minute listing presentation, platinum, and silver. And these correspond to the different packages. So if you were planning on ordering a gold package, it's only going to display information about the marketing pieces that are included with the gold package for your seller. And it's a great way to try and win that listing and prove your value. And it talks about the photography, the brochures, the mailers, all of the really great stuff that Listing Concierge includes. And in addition to just talking a little bit about the selling process as well. And these do not automatically include a CMA, but we can add a CMA to them. And I'm going to use this 12-minute listing presentation in my example today, but everything I'm showing you can be applied to any of these presentations. And then finally, there's a universal global luxury presentation. This one is not specific to Minnesota, so it's the same thing as that other global luxury presentation, but it doesn't have Minnesota stats. So today I'm going to pretend like I am ordering a gold package of listing concierge, and I would like to communicate that to my seller. So I'm going to choose this template and click continue. And here's where I put my seller's name. We're going to be doing a CMA for Mickey Mouse today, and I'm going to click create. Now this always takes a couple minutes, or not a couple minutes, couple seconds. We're going to wait for it to start spinning and create our CMA. All right, and here we go. So the first step in creating the CMA using Moxi is we can enter an MLS number for if the property is sold in the past. And so what I could do is go on to North Star MLS, find Mickey Mouse's house, and then take the MLS number of that house and copy it into this box, and it should all automatically fill. But let's say the property has not been listed on MLS, or it hasn't been listed for many years. I think if it's over 8 years, then this auto fill doesn't work. But you can try the autofill with the MLS number. And if that doesn't work, you can just fill in that property information in this form. So what I'm going to do is just go over to Coldwell Banker Homes and find us a listing that we can use as an example. Just going to find something kind of mid-range so we have some good comps for our example today. We can try this one here in Hudson, Wisconsin. How about that? I'm just doing this for the purposes of finding an MLS number and copying it. Okay, so we're going to pretend that Mickey Mouse lives here, and I'm going to copy that into our form. So something really nice is oftentimes the photos will automatically fill in from the last time the property was listed. So like I said, you can use this for an active listing. You can use it for a pending, expired, sold, anything. Just put the MLS number in and it should be able to find it. And so we can just go through and verify that everything is correct in here. And if they've made some changes to the property, added an addition, just make sure that all of that information is up to date since the last time it was sold. And then we can click on continue. This next step is it's taking us to find comps. So it is finding where our listing is on the map, and it is finding more comparable properties around that listing. And we can even filter on top by price, beds, baths, or many, many other filters. So if I click on filters, I can get just as many filters as I have on North Star MLS. So I can filter by the property type, lot size, all of that to just get the most accurate information, and then apply my filters. And then I can go on through. I can maybe zoom out on the map here and move the map around, find some good comparable properties. If I want to add the property into my CMA, I can just click on this little plus button over the picture. And if I need to learn a little bit more about the house to decide whether I want to include it, I can click on details and it will pull up all the MLS data from that house. So that is a really nice additional feature that we can take a look at all of the information available to us. So I'm just going to go through and choose a few comparable properties. And of course, you as the real estate agent will do a better job of researching through these properties and finding ones that actually make sense to include into your CMA. I'm just going to choose a bunch of random ones and for the purposes of demonstration. And then I'm going to click on continue once I have all of my listings added. The next step is it is now conglomerating all of the data and giving me some good average lows and highs over here on the right-hand side to inform my pricing decision. It's giving me some square footage information, and I can even add adjustments to the price. So for example, I can add an adjustment here and say, I would like to subtract $15,000. I'm just making up all of this information myself because of square footage or whatever it might be. And then I can click save. And it makes that adjustment for me. There it is. And then I can also, let's say this system did not find one of the comparables that I wanted to use. I can add a custom listing by clicking up here in the top right-hand corner and adding that to my CMA. So it's the same process. I would just fill out the form or copy the MLS number. So I always recommend you create your CMA in Northstar MLS first, just to do your due diligence and make sure that you're including everything. And so you can add in a custom listing here if Moxi doesn't pull it up for you. So I'm going to go back to my listings. And once everything is looking good, I can decide, oh, maybe I don't want to include that one. I can just click an X and remove it. And once this is looking good, I'm going to click on continue. Now here it is finding an average price of the sold comparable properties. And you can see that I'm kind of way off here because I just clicked on a bunch of random properties around the area. You of course will do a better job than I am because I'm doing it very quickly. But it has calculated some average based on the sold comparables, and it's also calculated an average price per square foot. So this can help me with my pricing decision, and I can also take a look at that listing summary again and put in my estimated market value. I can either do one number or I can click create a range and do a range, and I'll click apply. And then I can even add remarks about why I want to price it this way. Next, I'll hit continue. And we're finally taken to our super fancy PowerPoint. It's not a real PowerPoint, but it's very similar to a PowerPoint in that we have all of our pages on the left-hand side. I can click on each one, edit, view, remove if I need. So if I want to remove this page, I can click on this little X. And I can also reorder my pages by clicking and dragging them. So I can take and move it like that. Now you'll notice that my presentation, I've chosen the 12-minute listing presentation, which includes information about listing concierge and all of the marketing that I'm going to include in my service to the seller. And it does not yet include my CMA pages, but we did create a CMA and it's ready to go. All I need to do is add those CMA pages into this presentation. So I can go to the top and click on add page, and then add from library is what we want. And we are going to add in some report pages to our presentation. I know some agents like to not offer the CMA right away, and some agents like to offer the CMA at the listing appointment. That is totally up to you. You can decide to offer this as a pre-listing presentation and not include the CMA. But if you want to include the CMA, you'll have to go to report pages and then add that into this particular presentation. So I can add a property summary page. And here we're basically shopping for pages to add into our presentation. And it'll tell us whether they're there or not. I can add a listing location map, which shows all the comparables on a map. I could add side-by-side comparisons if I wanted. Maybe I want to add a graph of price and days on market. There's an estimate comparison where you can compare the Zestimate to the actual sold prices. I like that one a lot. And now you can see that my number of pages has gone up to 20. So if I go back to pages, we can see all of those comparable, or the CMA pages showing up on my presentation. There's the property summary showing that property and some information about it. And then there's the listings shown on a map. And this is actually going to be interactive for the seller. I'll show you that later. And then there's side-by-side comparisons, price and days on market. So it shows it on a graph. Estimate comparisons, showing the Zestimate versus the sold price. So you can really mix and match what kind of pages you'd like to include. In addition to that, you can also add other pages that have been pre-written and pre-designed by clicking Add Page and Add from Library. And you can choose from hundreds of types of pages. Or you can create your own pages by clicking Create New and then Building Page. You can either build it or upload a PDF. We teach a class on this too, if you want to get a little bit more in-depth on actually making your own pages from scratch. Joanne teaches a class on that. So let me know if you're interested and I'll point you in that direction. And by the way, we offer classes on all of this because I might be kind of overwhelming you with information right now. So there are 3 ways that you can present this presentation. You can present it on an iPad or a computer at the listing table. And I can do that by going up to View and Web. And it will actually take me to a single property, or not single property, a URL landing page basically with my presentation. So it's a live website in a way. I can scroll down and present my presentation that way. You can see it's very animated and even interactive. So you can click on the agent's name up here and call them or email them directly from there. You can also send this link to your seller, maybe before you meet or after you meet as a follow-up, and then they can have this as a reference where they can take a look at your CMA. They can take a look at the comparable properties and even move the map around and interact with it. They can take a look at some of the other houses and look at the pictures of them and say, hey, I don't have green walls like that. My house must be worth more or whatever. So that is a really impressive feature of this as well. The third way you can present it is by clicking on View and Print, and it will actually format it all into a PDF for 8.5 by 11 paper that you can print off and leave behind at the house or just use in your listing presentation as an alternative to the digital version. So you have different ways of presenting the information and you don't have to reformat it yourself. So this will generate and then you'll get a preview of what that PDF looks like. And while that's loading, I'll show you, you can actually send this presentation directly from this page as well. You can click on send and just enter your seller's contact information. So that's where you can do it as well. And we'll see if this is loaded up. There it is. We can get a little look at the PDF. And we'll wait for it to load. Thanks for your patience on that. Okay, here we go. So you can see that it actually really changed the look of it and is more optimized to paper. And the way that the data is presented in the CMA is a little bit different just because it's not as interactive. So we get some kind of like a property short of a lot of the comparable properties. And then we see them listed as well. And then there's the side-by-side comparisons. So this is a great tool to have as, you know, something as a leave behind in the house. And maybe some of the panelists later will talk about ways that they've used this too. So there's your PDF version of the presentation. And I promised to show you before the end of this demonstration how to save your templates. So one of the great things about Moxi is I can create my presentation. I can get everything in the order that really makes sense for my listing presentation. And you know, reorder slides as I need, add my own custom slides if I need to. And once it's all in an order that I really like and that really works for me, I don't want to have to do this again, because, you know, you might sit and spend a couple hours working on getting it in the order that you want. And so instead of having to recreate it again for the next listing that I want to do a CMA on, I can simply scroll down to the bottom of the presentation once it's done and once it's looking the way I want, and then click Save as a Template. And it will let me create a template and name it whatever makes sense to me, and save that. And then the next time I go to create a presentation, all I have to do is choose my template, and I'll save that. And then I can just make a new CMA off of the template that I've created. So that's a big advantage to Moxi. I can get it in the order I want, and then I can just do it again, basically with a new subject property. And I think with that, I will open it up to any questions on how to use the tool, or we can move on into the strategy side and the panelists. So thanks for listening to me, and if you got any questions, let me know.
Thanks so much, Shira. We did have 2 questions. One was, can you add or create your own custom pages? And the other was, are you able to upload your own photos versus the MLS ones? And if so, how would you do that?
Oh, great questions. Okay, so the first one, for custom pages, I'll address that. You can click on Add a Page up here and then Create New. And there's 2 ways you can do it. You can use their software to build it. And when you build it, it's kind of like you can choose a layout. It's pretty straightforward. You can add images, you can add text boxes, you can even add video. And you can also create a page from a PDF. So a lot of agents have, I've seen this a lot, where you have a about me page, or you have a testimonials page that's already a PDF. You can just upload that into your presentation, or if there's something that's already working for you that you have as a PDF, you can add that into your presentation. So those are the 2 options. And we do a class specifically on this too. I think it was yesterday, but it was recorded. So if anyone is interested in learning more, just reach out to me about that. And then the second question was about adding your own photos. You can certainly add your own photos for the subject property. I'm going to go back up to subject property here. And instead of using MLS photos, I'm going to choose upload a new image and then click browse, and then just browse my computer for the photos that I want. So I can add that my own photo instead of an MLS photo. And this is a good option for you if, let's say, MLS wasn't pulling up a photo from the last time it was sold, and you want to use maybe a Google Street View or a photo that you took of the house. You can do that right here by clicking on Browse under Subject Property.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shira. I think that we will jump into the Q&A, the panel session at this point, so that we can hear from our incredible panelists.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome.
I'll stop sharing the screen here.
Great. So I will just quickly want to introduce the folks that we have. I'd mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, but I know that there were some technical difficulties, which I apologize for. We are joined by 3 really incredible groups: the Nancy Walker team, the Three Rivers Real Estate team, and the Drew Hueler group. And so we've got Nancy Walker and Kathrine Black from the Nancy Walker team out of the Edina office. We've got Steve Milkovich from the Three Rivers Real Estate team out of the Plymouth office. And then we've got Drew Hueler from the Wayzata office. And super excited to have everyone here. And I am just going to quickly turn it over to our panelists. If you could each, maybe starting with Nancy, then Steve, and then Drew, introduce yourselves, just how long you've been in the business, maybe what you're hoping to accomplish this year, and then we can jump into questions from the audience and go from there.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm also going to introduce my operations manager, who is, hi, Drew, buddy. Hi, Kathrine. Kathrine Black is my operations manager, and she is truly the backbone of the business. She runs our team. We have a team of 6, all women, and she will be discussing some things about Moxi as well. But I've been licensed for 32 years. I started when I was 10. That's funny. That's supposed to be funny. I was with a small broker my first year and would have never made it unless I switched to Burnett Realty back then, 31 years ago. And last year, our production was just supersonic. I mean, we were all home, which was just kind of crazy. But we did just under 26 million, 73 units. And this year, I sure hope that we do the same. So that's my story, and welcome, Kathrine, and everybody.
Hi, Steve here with the Three Rivers team. Sorry, I don't have a webcam. Mine broke, and webcams are impossible to find in COVID land, so I've been webcamless. But in starting my 5th year here in real estate as a licensed agent, be my 3rd year here at Coldwell Banker. I run a team of now 4 guys. So we had 3 previously, just brought one on this year. Last year we did over 35 million in volume, looking to do 40 million in volume this year.
Nice. Thanks, Steve. Drew, you're still on mute.
Might be better if I unmuted myself. There we go.
There we go.
Testing. Drew Hueler, and I have my right hand, Taylor Belargin. She runs our office. She's also on the call. And I've been with Coldwell for over 7 years, I think. This is the only brokerage I've been at. In 20, I did just over 30 million in personal volume. We do have other people on our team that assist with things. And we hope that this year will be even bigger. So we did 60 units last year. Thank you, Taylor, for handling all the paperwork.
That's great. Thanks, Drew. Kathrine, did you want to introduce yourself?
I think Nancy covered it, but yeah, I work with Nancy. She called me the engine room the other day, which I thought was pretty funny. So seems about apt. Yeah.
That's great. And Taylor, did you want to jump on and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay. So I used to actually be in a position similar to Shira's at the Wayzata office. And I started working for Drew a couple of years ago as his assistant and right hand. And I actually was part of the team when Moxi was introduced. I was a huge fan of it. And I was one of the people who kind of latched onto it and said, hey, I want to start learning this and teaching other people. So I love using this tool. It's a blast. And that's one reason why Drew uses it so much, is because I like it. So
that's awesome. I think that that's probably a great segue into the first question that I think we could kick off with. And so Taylor and Drew, maybe if you guys want to take this one to start, and if we could just kind of go down the line of why do you use the tool? Why do you like it? And what type of impact has it had on your business?
So I think, first of all, it looks good. It's polished, and it's something that I can text to prospective clients who are interviewing other agents as well. Sometimes we print it, sometimes we send it via text, sometimes it's an email. But no matter how you look at it, the formatting is sharp. And I actually have had client comments that when I texted them that and then followed up with an email, it looked better than the competition, and that's why they picked me. And I'm like, well, I thought it was because our team was better than the competition, not Moxi. But he just, to the lay person or client who maybe isn't tech savvy, it's still user friendly. They can pop it up on their smartphone. And when they flip through it, it presents well. And it's an easy way to understand information and get a, cost analysis of what they have to sell.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you could text it. That's really cool. Especially today when, people are driving around together with their spouse in the car, looking at properties, no better time to pull up the listing presentation from the person they're going to hire to sell their house
Right.
At the same time. Taylor, anything you wanted to add to what Drew said there?
Yeah, so I think another, Drew has the direct experience with the client of what their perception of the end product is. And from my experience, just being able to have Drew tell me, hey, we need a great looking CMA for this property, or, I need a great looking buyer tour put together. I can do it with Moxi relatively quickly, and it looks great no matter how it turns out, whether I do it digitally or print it. So that not only saves me time, but it saves Drew my time by having a tool that is fast and simple, and you can focus more on, the client and what you need to do for them instead of trying to finagle all these tools together.
That's great. Steve, how about you? How has it impacted your business? Why do you choose to use it?
Yeah, I think the big part is the uniqueness of it. A lot of times, if you're calling, expireds or canceleds and stuff like that, and you're interviewing against other realtors, and maybe you're the second or the third in there, it's really embarrassing when you pull out the CMA that everybody else has. When you're using the North Star one and everybody else has that. And I've had multiple times where the person I'm talking to will pull out the CMA that they've given from another realtor, and if yours is the same, you're an uphill battle to show how you're different when you're using the same tools that other realtors are. So Moxi is a unique tool that just sets you apart, as well as it stands alone, which is nice. If you're calling and you're talking to people, some people just want to know what their house is worth. And it's really easy, as Drew said, you can use text or email, and the presentation is very user friendly and all the info is there. If you just drop off that North Star CMA, there's a lot of data on there. There's a lot of abbreviations. It's not user friendly, where Moxi is. They can click on the properties. They can take it at their own pace and follow up with you for questions. So I think, just the polish, the user friendliness of it, and then it just sets you apart from the competition. I haven't seen, anybody else that has something very similar that anybody in the metro uses.
That's great. Nancy.
Yeah, so why do we use Moxi? It's interesting that that we were invited to this, because I'm an old schooler. I've been doing this for so many decades, and for me, you get set in your ways, and when Kathrine came on board, she just came out of college. She never had a job before, and I said, "Do you want to run a team?" She said, "Sure, I can do it. I'm smart." And so she, as a millennial, has brought me to a different level of thinking, from streamlining to just being more efficient. And I'm having fun with it. And so what we used to do is we had packets. We had a manila envelope with stuff in it, lots of stuff. And who knows, I would ask them, did you read it? Well, it's on the counter. And so it was archaic. It was old. And so the minute Moxi came on, Kathrine just went, let's look at this. And we had a lot of fun with, one, getting rid of the buyer packets that would be delivered to the buyer seller's doorstep the day we had a phone interview via Quicksilver. Saves time, saves money, saves paper. It's just logic, right? So with Moxi, I think the most important thing is it's classy, and we were able to totally customize ours to have the consumer look at who we are as a team, who we are as individuals, how we intentionally give back to the community. And that's the beginning of our Moxi that we have. And then it goes into the important processes, obviously, of what it takes to buy or sell real estate. But I just love the fact that we can promote ourselves as individuals, and it's so customizable. And it's something that we just absolutely love and use. And Kathrine, do you have any thoughts on why you like Moxi, using it? And
yeah, well, I'm just piggybacking on what other people have said. I think it's really sleek. I think it's, as Taylor said, really simple to use, especially like as Nancy said, we have a very customized report. Well, I just save it as a template, and all I have to do is change someone's name and send them a message saying, hey, great, we're looking forward to seeing you such and such date. You know, it's very streamlined, very fast, simple, but looks great, which is fun.
And just one other thing, we do not use Moxi for market evaluations. We have a separate system and template that we do, and then we don't do any buyer tours. We just use it as an informational piece, get to know us as a team and learn about the process.
Awesome. That's probably a good segue into, I believe, Kathrine, do you have some examples of some of the stuff you guys have done?
Yeah, I do. It's loaded on my screen. I can share it if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great. We did have one specific question about how much you can customize. And so, you guys are a great example of that. And if the audience does have any specific questions for the panel as a whole, or for anyone specific on the panel, you guys can start popping those into the chat. And we can look at those after we take a look at some of these custom templates that the Nancy Walker team has.
Yeah. So let's see if this works out here. So you're seeing this pre-consultation information page?
Yep.
Great. So yeah, so this one is a Nancy specific one. We also make one for each member of the team if they're coming in together. But so we send this, normally, instead of saying sample seller presentation, we would put the client's name. Just a little more personalization there. But, this is filled out, but it's just the agent profile. Anyone fills those out. So, but you can, of course, customize the information you put in there. Let's see. So this is one of the custom pages that I did, was our team introduction page. So regardless of whose presentation it is, whether it's a combo or not, it has all of the team members and their little bio and a photo. We put in a custom video from when Treats for Toys, what was that, Nancy, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago?
It was actually 2019. Yeah.
2019. Yeah, just when the logo was changing, we had a videographer there to do testimonials during that event. So we've pulled that in, and it plays right in the screen, which is really nice. Let's see if it'll load just so you can see it. Yep, so that's pretty cool. And below that, we have our own testimonials that we've pulled together over the years.
And one thing that we do with these testimonials is in January, we send out a client survey. And I actually got the format from Barry Berg about 25 years ago and loved it and continue to use it. And it's old school. We mail it to them. It's actually from Kevin Knudsen, our branch vice president, with a return envelope. And they actually fill out the client survey, send it back to Kevin. Kevin reviews it and then sends it to me. And then what we do is we thank them profusely for their kind words. Most of them, I'd say 99%, come back glowing. And then we do ask them if we can post it on in our marketing online and print.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so that one's a pretty simple layout, as you can see. This is a good example of that PDF upload. or I may have copied and pasted from a Word document, but this would be similar to what it looks like, where you can just copy and paste something that you already have written up directly into this format.
One quick thing about that commitment to full service is I had a client ask me why 7% and what do you really do for 7%? And so I said, give me a couple days, I'll put it in writing. And so that's what I did here, just so they can really see what do realtors really do. And I listed every single thing. So
I love that.
Yep, goes on and on and on. This is a good example of one of the templates that you sort of saw with the block spacing. You can do this sort of work with those types of templates. So we put this page together.
Yeah, these are all of the organizations that I personally have worked with in giving back and doing fundraisers, and then have pulled the team into that as well for client events. And we even did it in COVID. Instead of having a big client party raising money for Second Harvest, we just had a pop, drop, and roll where they drove up to our house and popped a trunk, and we collected food for 3,600 families in 6 hours. So you can still do stuff like that, even though we have COVID out there.
And then here's a good example of a PDF. So we put agency directly into this introductory presentation, because this is not a CMA. So this gives them a chance to review it even before Nancy sits down at a table with them or talks to them via Zoom, like COVID nowadays kind of demands. And then there's also an option to link things directly, which is nice. So we've loaded them onto a outside cloud device so that people can review the whole standard purchase agreement if they want. But it also doesn't take up 12, 14 pages of the presentation, which is nice.
That's great. I think that one of the things that's great about what they've done here compared to kind of the traditional thing is partly what Kathrine was just showing there is the ability to include all of these resources without dropping off 500 pages of materials. And along the lines of what all of the panelists have already talked about, delivering what is essentially 500 pages of materials via text or via email. I think that Nancy and Kathrine have an exceptional example of the amount of customization and resources you can provide to someone through the platform.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can just see that we've got all of our customization right up front, and then it sort of goes into, this one's a seller one, so it goes into a bit more of the standard pages that we got from Moxi presentations that have already been created, and just customized it, shows the pages we want, rearranged a little bit, and yeah, it's pretty nice.
Thanks, Kathrine.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing that.
Sure.
We did have another question for the panel about, what custom pages have you guys added, Drew and Steve? Do you add your own custom pages? And if so, what have you created?
I really don't. We haven't added many custom pages. We like to keep it really simple. Moxi isn't so much of a listing presentation tool for us as it is more of a comparative market analysis. So it's more of a component of the overall conversation that we have with the prospective seller. And especially if we're texting it, I think Taylor and I were talking about this, and I think having it be very straightforward when you pop it up on your phone, there's nothing to toggle through. It's just the CMA essentially, and it looks better than other CMAs. So, but now after hearing Nancy, and I'm like, well, maybe we can, delve into that and try it. And this is why I like having these calls, because it's like it gets you thinking about what other uses there are to an app that we're already familiar with, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. I mean, what I really love about this is Drew, President's Club top producer, are using this specific tool basically just for CMAs, and Nancy is using it specifically not for CMAs, right? And just for presentations and resource delivery, and it's working incredible for both options, right? It was just really cool. Steve, how about you?
I'm exactly the same as Drew. I used the basic CMA. This is just a fraction of what I use for my listing presentations. I use an app called Prezi, which is a fancier version of Microsoft PowerPoint for my actual thing. And then this is a component of that. But again, as Drew just said, might be relooking at some of that and seeing what can be more customized here, because sometimes it is nice just to text the whole thing one-off to somebody. And have it there for them, and or maybe have a component that's a little bit more, all presentation in this. So, but yeah, exact same as Drew. I use exactly what's in there. I use the standard market analysis. I actually probably delete a couple of things out of there and make it shorter. It's only like 7 or 8 pages that I normally send. Make very simple, very clean cut, just sent out as a market analysis.
That's great. We had a really good question come in that I'd love all of you to try to address if you can, that was just asking, what advice would you have for a new agent that's just starting out, that's trying to utilize the tool and trying to leverage the resources that it has? Drew, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, so I would say, I'll be honest, Taylor does a lot of this for me now. I am a millennial and I'm not that tech savvy. So me setting up Prezi, I'm sure, or Prezi or Moxi, I'm sure I can do it, but I haven't done it in a long time. But I think that taking time to do calls like this and talking to all the resources that we have available to us at Coldwell Banker would be a good start to figure out how you want to use the tools that we have, for your specific business. Because we all do it differently, and we can all be good at it, doing it differently, but the tools I think that we have are phenomenal. I haven't had other agents that I'm up against use this presentation tool. So I don't think it's that broadly utilized in the market, but then again, I'm not usually up against a Coldwell Banker agent. So it's all good.
And I'll chime in too here. I think one thing that I have always told Drew or any agent that I'm talking to is, really dedicate yourself to take the time to walk through any tool you're using and understand it, and pare it down so that when you are scrambling and you have to get to a listing appointment or you're trying to impress a buyer, that you're not trying to stay up until midnight, 1 a.m. to get it done, that you've got the process built so you're ready to go. So just, take the 15, 30 minutes a day or a week, whatever you can allocate, and learn the tools so you can not only use them, but you can be the best at them, quote unquote, the best in your office, because that'll be even more impressive.
Absolutely. Steve, what advice would you have for brand new agents starting out trying to utilize the tool?
Yeah, really know the tool. And if you're going to use this in somebody's house as part of a listing presentation, be ready for technology to fail. You might not have internet service where you are, something like that. So make sure you have the PDF on your desktop. Make sure you have the link in your phone in case your computer decides to do a Windows update or something like that. So that when technology goes wrong, and it will, you can easily pivot and move over. So I would say always have a backup plan. This is a great tool, but it is technology at the end of the day. So just be prepared to still be able to use the product, but have a backup plan just in case.
Yeah, really great point. Nance?
Yeah, that's great advice, both of you guys. I think for a new agent, when you're first starting out, you're a deer in headlights. And especially if you're all by yourself and you're looking around and you're seeing all these people bustling around the office and what are they doing? And, and you get advice from, your training class and your school and your sales manager, and you're taught everything that you're supposed to do, but you still sit there and come into the office and kind of look at your empty desk and go, I remember those days. And so when you're out in the field and you haven't sold any real estate, man, you've got a hell of a lot of people on your team who have, right? You've got the brand, and that's what you want to sell. You want to learn your contracts, read them, know how to paraphrase them, and work the brand. So tying in Moxi totally is awesome as a new agent. So I would block time to look at Moxi and give yourself a target date and say, within 3 weeks, I'm going to have my Moxi presentation done. I'm going to have someone look at it and review it and tell me what they think. Maybe it's your partner, your spouse, a colleague, your branch vice president, but give yourself a target date. Look at every single thing that Moxi has to offer, decide how you want to use it. CMA, buyers, just a presentation. Do you want to customize it? Give yourself a target date and get it done. That's my advice. Kathrine, I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on what Taylor said, and it's sort of like when you get a new phone. Like, you sit down and you play with it for a little bit and figure out how to use it. That's what you should do with any new piece of technology. Sit down, play with it, figure it out, and then move on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And, just to Nancy's point, any of your BVPs would be great people to practice this on, or they're going to hate me for saying this, but flip it on them. If you want more experience on what it feels like to interact with it, have them do the 12-minute listing presentation via Moxi with you, right? And you guys can practice using the tool that way, back and forth. But the more reps that you can get in with it, both as a presenter and as a receiver of the tool, the better or the more comfortable you're going to be, texting it to your clients, putting custom pages in there, all of that different stuff. So it is 11:59. So I want to be super respectful of our panelists' time. Do any of you have any kind of closing statements or advice for our agents before we wrap up?
I'll just say that I will continue to use Moxi, and today's meeting has made me think about what else should we be doing with it? Should we have a texting version? Should I be doing market evaluations on it? Should I step away from how I'm, been doing my market evaluations for decades? Do I switch it up, mix it up? So that's what I got from Steve and Drew, and I appreciate that. So thank you. You're getting my head spinning again. Kathrine, here we go.
I love it. Steve, any parting words for our audience members?
Yeah, just use it, tinker with it. This is the time of year we're in a little bit of a downtime, so this is the time to go and play and try new things. And for people who are using it, just like Nancy said, now this is the time to see what else, how far can we push this product, and how much more cool things can we do with it. So yeah, just play with it, tinker with it, and get ready for the spring market.
Love it. Drew?
I would say I agree with both of what Nancy and Steven said, and yeah, I don't know that I have much to add. I do think it's cool that we have so many tools available to us, and I will say too that the Coldwell Banker, Nancy brought up the brand, work the brand. I still have friends who started in the business about the same time as me, and as much as I like to take credit for being more successful than them, I think it's actually the network and the brand that have done it. So
I love it. That is a fantastic note to end on. So thank you all again very much. I'm so grateful that you were able to share your time with us. Drew, Nancy, Kathrine, Steve, Taylor, really appreciate you giving us your time today. Everyone that joined us, I really appreciate you joining us for the call. We will make the recording available, and Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
I'm calling you, Nancy. Bye.
Yeah. Hi, Drew.